Next, if you notice this button here, it's got an arrow next to it. And what that means is you've got more tools associated with it. So if you click on it, you have a paint bucket and a sample material. So what that means is if you notice over here, you have, this is your default tray, and this popped up. And now this has been populated with materials. This right here means these are the colors that are right now in your model. This is browse, and you can browse different materials, and I'll go over this later. This puts different types of textures in your model, and I'll go over that a little bit later once we finish our house. This right here, this is your line tool. So the pencil draws out a straight line here. So if you hold it, left click, draws a line. The next one is just freehand. So it's sort of like if you just had a pencil and we're just sort of freehanding if you're on a piece of paper. Next is your arc tool. If you click on it, there's different types of arcs that you can draw. We won't be getting into that for today. Next is rectangle tool. We will be using the rectangle tool. If you click on it, there's different tools here. You've got just a regular rectangle, a rotated rectangle. We won't be using that, or the circle, but you've got polygon and 3D text. But we'll just be using the regular rectangle tool today. Next is push-pull. If you click on it, you've got push-pull, offset, or excuse me, follow me and offset. We'll use those, well, those are later to come. If you end up taking some of the other classes or some of the other tutorials, you'll see some of these, but we will be using the push-pull today. This is outer shell. We won't be using any of that. The move tool, we will. This is move. So right here, move tool, rotate. I'll show you a little bit of rotate, and then scale is resizing. So that's if you want to make something bigger or smaller. Rotate, of course, is if something you need to move something, rotate it a little bit. So that one. Now the tape measure, I'll show you how to use that one. The tape measure, you can do guidelines, or you can actually measure and then see how long or how tall something is, and I'll show you how to use that. The rest of these tools we won't be using. You can explore those a little bit later. These are different viewing tools. We won't get into those, but you can explore those if you'd like. These are important. If you click on, this is the orbit tool. If you click on this, the orbit tool, we will be using. Those are very important. Pan, the zoom tools, and then zoom extents. Zoom extents is if you get zoomed out and you can't see much. If you zoom extents, that'll bring you back to the origin. Now I want to show you some shortcuts really quickly. On your mouse, your roller on your mouse actually zooms you in and out. So if you use the roller on your mouse, all you have to do is, that's just a quick zoom in and out, okay? Now, I clicked on the orbit tool. The orbit tool, okay, if you just click on that, hold it, it just orbits you around the different axes. And this is really important for being able to see different locations and being able to orbit around your, in this case, your house, and being able to see different things. Your pan tool, that takes you left and right, up and down. So here we go, left and right, and then we go up and down. So now what I'd like for you to do, okay, keep your pan tool, and I'm going to show you one more shortcut. If you click and hold the roller on the mouse, so hold down the roller on the mouse, that's your orbit tool. That's a quick way to get your orbit tool. And what I like to do is keep the pan selected so I can go left and right, and then click down on the roller, and that gives you your orbit tool automatically. So you can pan and then orbit, And then of course you can zoom just using the roller, okay? So that's a neat little way to do this very quickly. So what I'd like you to do is play around with moving around with pan, orbit, zoom, and then get it to where you have your gentleman here down at the lower left corner, okay? And then once you have him down here, okay, and kind of zoomed out a little bit because we're going to make a pretty big rectangle. It's going to be about 50 by 30 roughly. And we're going to be paying attention to this measurements box down here. This is very, very, very important. So let's come up here and let's click on the rectangle tool. And we're going to use the regular rectangle, this one right here. So click on the rectangle box and then click here, okay? Now, what I'd like for you to do is start close to his foot. We're going to start here, okay? And I'm going to come across, and if you notice the dimensions box, watch the dimensions box, okay? If you notice that there's nothing going on with the second dimension, it's just 0, but the first dimension, okay, I've got 30, right now about 33 feet, okay? Now, if I go this way, if I start going up along the y-axis, then I start picking up that second dimension. So right now I have about 38 feet and 26 feet. What I want to try to do is make a box. Now, I haven't let go of the mouse. I'm still holding left click on the mouse. I want to make that first dimension about 50 feet or so. 52, that's good. And I want to move along the y-axis. Okay, move along the y-axis till about 30. Okay, that's good. About 31 feet. What I'm trying to do is get in the dimensions box the first dimension around 50 feet, second dimension around 30 feet. And so I let go of the mouse, and once you see here, you come down here, I have about 53 and 31. That's pretty good. If you don't quite get it, you can come down here and click undo. Or if something happens and you click somewhere else, or you're making a rectangle and you lose that dimension, here's what you can do. Let's go to the tape measure tool. Okay, select the tape measure, click on one endpoint, hold left click, go to the second endpoint, okay, and then while you're still holding it, okay, it gives you the dimension, and if you let go, it doesn't give you the dimension anymore. So you have to make sure you hold it, go to the endpoint, hold left click, go to the other endpoint, and it gives you the dimension. Make sure that this dimension that's along the red axis, which I'm calling the x-axis, is somewhere around 50, okay? Now, the side that is parallel to the green axis, make sure that you, if you're not sure, if you drew it and then you lost your dimensions here, take your tape measure here, and then let's measure, okay, endpoint to endpoint, holding left click, okay, still holding left click, all right, 31 feet and some change, all right, that's pretty good. Okay, again, hold it, go to the endpoint, hold it, all right, 31 feet, that's pretty good. Now, since we're building a house, okay, this is a box, and hopefully you all know that a box is three-dimensional, not two-dimensional. Right now, we just have a rectangle, length and width, okay? So what we need some volume. So volume is length times width times height. We have length and width, but we need height. So we need to use this tool, which is push-pull. So click on the push-pull tool and click on this, push-pull. And what we're going to do, notice that if we hover over our rectangle, then we kind of have this dotty surface, and this is what we want. Now this is going to be a 2-story house, which is roughly about 30 feet